Welcome in, folks. My name is Ryang Gonzales with Becker Properties, and I'm joined with Cruz from eMortgage Capital and Katie Edge.
Nice to meet you guys.
And I wanted to bring in Katie today because she has a game-changing service when it comes to maximizing your profit at home whenever you're selling your home. And me and Carlos were just talking about this. That's why I wanted to bring you in. He asked me specifically if I knew somebody who did this.
Yep.
And I know a couple contractors that are getting fined. Are fine getting paid at closing,
Sure.
but they're not always able to do that. They can't always float the money like that. I do know some, but you're a one-stop shop, and I really wanted to tell everybody about your service, and I plan on using you and telling everybody about you.
Awesome.
It's funny that this is happening today. I literally last night got a phone call from a friend of mine who's a realtor. She was saying, "Hey, I'm helping a client do a flip, and they ran into some finance problem. They're needing to do some renovation for a foundation.
Yep.
Do you know anyone that would just give them a loan?" And I said, "Well, I don't think anyone's going to just give a loan, but I think that there's some people in the space that might be able to help."
Yep.
And it's kind of crazy that it's just happening, but it's happening more and more, right?
It's really something people expect almost now in the market, right? Because nobody wants to invest in the house that they're living in. They want to invest in the next house, right? But what we know is that if you get a house updated and it's ready and it's turnkey, people are willing to pay a premium for that, right?
Oh, yeah.
But they don't always have the cash to do it.
Yep.
Here's a weird question, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but let's say I buy this home, and the whole neighborhood's already driving by and looking and saying somebody's gutting this, somebody's doing work, and somebody says, "Hey, if I were to buy that house, can I pick out the colors?" Is there a way to work that with you?
So you can do some of that, right? But most people, they don't see the forest through the trees, right?
Okay.
So they see it as a large problem. They don't see solutions. 90% of us, we can't see it. And you know this because if you've ever shown a house, and maybe that house has a particular color. I had a client who had dusty rose all over her walls. Very unique, right? She had cats. You can envision the owner, okay? And so people, when they walk into this space, it doesn't feel like a space that could be theirs. It feels like the pink house. And then label it the pink house, right? And they'll take the pink house off their list. So do you have to paint all your walls white? You do, because you need to make that space neutral. And at least that way, if I can make it a blank canvas, so to speak, at least I can see my own personal preferences and my own design choices in that property. Whereas if it's just the pink house, I may just keep flipping when I'm looking online, and I may never even give that house a second chance. So it is really important. And people have that objection a lot. Well, how do I know what the new owner's tastes are going to be? You don't. But if you make it light, bright, and neutral, at least they buy it. They pay a premium for it, and they say, well, I could paint the cabinets later. I could put the blue on the walls. But most of us, we just can't see the potential unless I build it for you.
So walk me through how people find you.
Yes.
And how that relationship works. But more importantly, what are the services that your group offers? Because,
Sure.
I mean, is it everything from, oh my God, a foundation, a new roof, and all the color, or is it purely cosmetic?
So typically my specialty and what I'm known for is the quick cosmetics. I say Botox for your house, right?
Got it.
So envision a facelift. But we can do more extensive work than that. It just depends. Most of my clients, I really cater towards what is quick, fast, and has a high return on investment. You start digging into walls, you start doing foundation problems, you start doing these things that you find hidden damages, and it results in what? More money.
Right.
And that kind of ticks people off. So I tend to stay away from that.
Okay.
My niche, what I'm really, really good at, is get in and out and take care of the things that are going to be high ROI producing.
Marketable value.
Yes. Now we can take care of some.
Is your background in interior design?
Not at all.
No?
No, I have 17 and a half years corporate America before doing this for 3 years. So,
Yeah?
Yeah.
You just
So
got
I see the transition.
you
Got
just-
it. Yeah,
you just
yeah.
got the eye. You just got the eye, huh?
Well, it's not rocket science, right? We know the things. When you walk into a new home build, right?
Right.
What do you see? Light, bright, and neutral. You see white quartz counters. These are not like revolutionary ideas, but most people, they're personally attached to their home, and they think, but I chose all these finishes, and I did it 20, 30 years ago. And it might have been that back in the day, your home was a gem, but now here we are 20, 30 years later, and it still looks like it did, right? I tell agents that the very best property for me is a property that is incredibly well maintained. I say Tim the Toolman Taylor's house, right? He has maintained everything. There was a drip in the sink and he fixed it, right? The hot water heater's been changed out. He even replaced all the windows. Like, these houses are great because they don't look sexy. And you know what sells? Sex sells. So you got to make it sexy, right? So that's really, and you have to give them fall in love factor. I've learned a lot. So I've been doing this for about 3 years, and you ask the question, what do I do? We do everything. So we'll paint your walls, we'll change your floors, we'll give you new countertops, we'll do tile, we'll do glass. We can remove walls if you need us to, but that's not usually the thing that gives you the ROI. So I like to make suggestions on what can we do to get that property sold so that every dollar the client invests, they get back 2 or more. But think light, fast, and impactful. That's really the thing.
So what do you define as fast? 30 days, 2 weeks,
I'm
3
about
days?
1 to 3 weeks is my average.
That's not bad.
I did a house in 3 days not that long ago for an agent at Keller Williams Heritage. And that was actually my new record.
What was that comprised of?
We did countertops, we did new light fixtures, we painted cabinets, we changed hardware, and we did an epoxy and 2 master bath and the secondary bath.
Not bad.
No, it was pretty quick. So, but the kitchen was the sore point, and it wasn't a big house, and it wasn't a fancy neighborhood, so it didn't cost a ton of money, but it sold the house.
Going back to that,
Yeah.
we know that kitchen sell, bathroom sell,
Yep.
flooring, the color walls. In your experience, what have you seen be the best ROI?
Definitely the kitchen and paint neutralization. Flooring, you can overcome flooring objections quite a bit. In fact, I was talking about a house this morning that we did, and do you know where Sendero Ranch is? Okay, so just up 281 North, kind of a fancy neighborhood. The house that we did in there ended up contracting for like 1.4. But it had some kind of like atrocious pattern in the tile that I'm sure when they picked it, the owners customized it, but it was a lot. It was a lot going on. But flooring's real expensive. And so the owners set a budget for us, and we had a lot of other work to do in the house. It had brown walls everywhere. It had big, heavy draperies. They had like a Tuscan villa vibe happening, which is cool, but like not everybody likes Tuscan villa, right? So how can I depersonalize a home, lighten and brighten, and take care of things like light fixtures, which were very heavy, very dated? So we did all the things. We did a kitchen renovation. We painted the walls white. We removed a lot of the heavy metal. And you were left with still this weird looking floor, but I distracted you with all the painting and the light fixtures. And I was able to draw attention to the fall in love factor, which is the kitchen. So we put in some pretty white quartz counters, a beautiful marble backsplash, things that really like give you that fall in love factor. Because if I can make you fall in love, I'm willing to deal with like the bathroom later, right?
It's funny you say that. So the house that we bought,
Same thing.
it was orange cork floors and baby blue walls.
Yep.
And so when the sun would set, it literally looked like my house was glowing and violet. It was,
Did you get a great deal in it?
no, we did not. We did it
Oh.
during COVID.
Oh,
But
different market.
we got an acre and a half, acre and a quarter, no HOA. So we have built this beautiful home. But yeah, I put the large bulk of money in the kitchen day one.
Yep.
Because I needed something to look at that I wasn't going to be in pain about.
Yep.
Flooring, that was easy. We just did all the tile. You know, we painted all the walls. But that kitchen, it's my happy place.
That's usually the fall in love factor. And I'll tell you, kitchen renovations are quicker than anything else you can do. Bathrooms can take more time because tile work takes time.
Definitely.
Right.
And also, too, it like when I do glass, right? I do custom glass. I'll put it in after my tile is completed so it can be a longer timeline because custom glass takes a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah.
So timeline-wise, I tell people we try to do, like kitchen is always going to sell your house and it's going to be quick. I can knock out a kitchen in a week or two, easy breezy. But a master bath, much longer. So tend to lean towards what I call a master bath refresh, where we'll paint the vanity, we'll change the hardware, we'll put in a new countertop, pretty
Clean
new
the
light.
caulk.
Clean the caulk, yeah, we'll
Yeah,
caulk it.
no,
Maybe
I'm saying,
epoxy.
I looked at a home that was gorgeous. And it had moldy caulk in the bathroom. It was
Yes,
gross.
yes, you have to clean that up.
How do you not? That's,
Yep.
Just a deep clean.
just come on, man.
Yep, caulking
People
is
don't
good.
realize how important the baseboards are. Just to
Oh,
clean
when
those.
you see a layer of dust, it
Yeah.
just makes you wonder, did you ever clean your home?
I probably tell every seller to clean their baseboards.
Now, you bring up a great point because baseboards, especially if a family's lived in it or they had pets or whatever, they get dinged up, they get dirty. You know
Right.
what makes it look great? Fresh paint.
Yeah.
Paint your walls, ceilings, doors, and trim. You know, sometimes people want to be cheap and they're like, hey, Katie, I just need you to do touch-up painting. You know what it looks like? It looks like touch-up painting. It looks cheap and it looks
Yeah.
ghetto. Like, just
Oh,
paint your
yeah.
Well,
walls.
especially
You
if the
gotta-
light hits right, all you see are spots.
Yes,
Yeah,
at
you gotta
night
do
is
it.
the best time when you see all the spots.
Well, the paint gets old.
Yeah.
After a while, it just doesn't look the same. You're not going to be able to match it.
Sometimes sellers will say, well, I just want to paint my walls, not my ceilings. And I'm like, do you see all that funk on the air vent, return air vent, right? Like, you need to paint those. Paint is like your number one. It also helps, you know, if a house has a smell. right? New
Oh, if
new
there's
paint.
smoke, yeah, I can imagine.
Oh no, smoke's a whole different animal. That's like a whole nother podcast.
Is it really?
Yeah,
I'm
totally.
not going to touch that one then.
No, we're not going to go there.
No, do not go there.
But, you know, maybe we just lived in it real hard, you know, and we had teenage boys. Teenage boys are stinky. And so
Interesting.
sometimes new carpet, new paint, so good for the smell too, right? You know?
So
Just a
you
few
got the
pro tips.
GC thing down, the interior design,
Yeah.
you know the colors, what sells,
We can,
ROI.
yeah, we can do it all. So if you have a designer, we can work with your designer. If you want us to do design, we can. You know, if it's what I call a tier 1 house, you know, inexpensive, let's say in San Antonio, maybe like 400, 450 or less, we know what to do. You know, you don't have to do fancy stuff, a level 1 granite, you know, basic materials, but the finishes need to be reflective of the price point, right? Fancier houses, you need fancier stuff.
Sure.
You know, prettier counters. I'm looking at a house right now that's in Terrell Hills, and it's a $3 million house. It needs quartzite with Ogie edging, like it needs pretty stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just needs to be reflective of the neighborhood. Don't over improve, but do the things that matter to get you good money back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the biggest objection we get whenever we're advising sellers to make these updates are
I don't want to spend money.
the money factor,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
So tell us how you can help on that.
Oh, so good. Okay, so I've learned a lot over the last 3 years, and at first you would just give people, okay, it's gonna be $20,000. They go, I don't pay $20,000. Why would I spend $20,000, Katie? I want to put that in my next house. You have to show them value, right?
Definitely.
And people kind of like give you this deer in headlights look if you give them too much information. Like my head's gonna explode, right? So break it down in simplest form. I can put this much money in your pocket when you sell it as is, or I can put this much money in your pocket if you invest. Which would you like to learn about? And of course, the invest is usually more because I can sell your house for more. Comps show that, right?
And faster.
And faster, because that's,
Faster.
I mean, if you're having, I've got a buyer right now, they're stressed. They've been making the same mortgage payment on the house that they're not living in
Yes.
for 6 months.
Yep. I had a house. We did in New Braunfels. It's funny that you say that. And do you know Janet Smalley? Cooper
I
from
don't
New
know that one.
Braunfels. New Braunfels, very like tight community. Anyway, Janet, great agent up there. But this house had unique colors and unique selections. It had olive green trim. Y'all ever seen that?
No.
It's unique. It also had backsplash that had red and gold and a little bit of that olive green and like just all the things.
Wow.
And the cabinets were like a really like rustic old color and you know like a little orangey. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Okay, so I had that vibe happening. Now this isn't a fancy neighborhood. The house was listed for like $925,000, but it sat on the market for 6 months. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. So Janet called me and she goes, "Oh, we've gotten feedback. I think we just need to paint the cabinets." And then I looked at the cabinets and they had these little sunflower knobs on them, real cute. Homeowner had gotten them in like another country, but they are very personalized. It looked like grandma's house, right? Her cabinets.
Mm-hmm.
Literally all we did was paint the cabinets in the kitchen and the master bath. And because of the like color symphony we had happening in the house, color selection's real important. Have you ever been in a house where you've like painted it the
Or it's
wrong color?
overload, yeah.
Yeah.
And they just didn't know what they were doing. Maybe like watch a little too much HGTV and they thought, I'm going to paint them blue. And you had like warm
I can do
tones
that.
happening. Yeah. So this is why it's really important to have
Or
a
each
designer.
kid wants a different color room or something like that too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But literally all we did was paint the cabinets. House sold to the first person that saw it after they came back. We changed the knobs too. I didn't do sunflower knobs. So little things can make a really big difference. But that house sat on the market for 6 months with a $3,500 a month mortgage. He was paying pool because he had a pool. So he had a pool guy,
Sheesh.
electric bills. And it was during the summer. It's hot. We paid probably $400 a month, I had to guess.
Yeah,
on
it's
the
probably
electric
paying
bill.
$4,500 minimum.
Well, if he would have hired me in the beginning, he could have saved himself all that money, right? So there's a cost to waiting. And that's something I try to tell people too. Canceled and expireds are really high right now, right? Because people think, oh, I'm going to sell my house at this price. It is a buyer's market. You especially now. It's not COVID.
No, no,
Not during
no.
COVID time, right? And you have to do the right things.
A little more in San Antonio too.
Yeah.
We're over the average
Yeah.
days on market here and month of inventory.
Yep.
It's interesting that you brought up New Braunfels. I've got a buyer. We were talking about it last week. 2 houses next to each other, the exact same floor plan. One was $80,000 more.
Yep.
And the wife didn't even want to look at the other one that was cheaper.
Yep.
She only wanted the one that was $80,000 more. And all they had done was some basic level 1 click tile flooring. And I think they had replaced the counters with quartz.
Yeah.
And I was telling my buddy, I said, depending on the size of the house, that might have only been $20,000.
She
Why do
wanted
you
to
want
do
to
it.
spend $80,000 more? Well, they spoke. They met with somebody, and they spoke again with their realtor, and they ended up buying the house was $80,000 less. They ended up buying the one that was $399.
Ah, okay.
They're going to be in their other place for 2 more months. They have a big window
Of time to
get
improve
time
it.
to get the stuff done,
There you go.
and no stress.
Most people don't have the time. They're ready.
Right.
They're ready yesterday. And it's funny you gave that example. So I do flips too. I have a flip in Castle Hills right now. We're under contract. The house next door is for sale and has been for a year. It's a for sale by owner, but it's like $150,000 less than mine. And we already are under contract in less than a month, and all that. So people are willing to pay for move-in ready unless they're on the slow train, right? Maybe they're on the slow train, they think. But again, most people don't see the forest through the trees because they just see a project and they're like, man, then I got to hire a contractor and then I got to deal with all that, because most contractors suck, right? And I don't want to have to live through that stress, right?
Yeah,
We've
It's
run into that
important.
before, which is why we stay with the one.
You hear the stories all day long
Yeah.
with the contractors. It's tough to find reliable ones
Yeah.
that are not going to try to get over on you. So,
And it's hard
Yeah.
because they're busy. Now a really good contractor that you might have worked with that used to be able to get to your place in 2 or 3 weeks
Yep.
is now 2 or 3 months out
Yep.
because now everybody knows who they are.
Which is why I want to hire Katie, because even though that guy may not show up, you know who does? My next crew, right?
Right.
And so I have part of my secret sauce is speed, right? So I'm my countertop guy's #1 contractor. So you know what he keeps in stock for me? White quartz, Dallas white granite. Always. I can get it. And if I need to get some other things, fancier houses, you got to have other things. We make things happen real quick because I take care of him, right? And same thing with my crews that are
Relationships matter.
Relationships matter. But speed is important, right? Because when an agent calls me and says, hey, I have a house, you know what the owner wants to do? They want to sell it yesterday. And I explain to them, days on market for houses that are selling as is, it's 180. And houses that are selling updated, you're on average like less than 30 days. So you have time to take 1 to 3 weeks to do something to your house to get it ready so that sucker sells when you put it on the market, because time is money.
Time matters.
Yep.
yeah, I think you have to have somebody explaining that to you, like in detail, about how much that matters about upgrading. And I try to pitch it to my sellers all the time.
Yep.
So that's why I'm glad I met you, because the financing issue or the money issue is definitely a problem when it comes to updating the home.
Yep.
Because you might not want to just put 10,000 into, you might want to put 20 because it's going to net you 50 or something to that extent.
Yep.
Can you tell us about a couple examples of how the
Yes.
financing works and then like your return on investment for your clients?
Sure. So I've got a great program that is basically a personal loan, okay, and it's 5%. So let's say you're going to finance the renovations. It's $10,000 cash. It's just $10,500 to do our finance program, and for that you get to pay later. So that's a great option. The other option I have that'll be coming at the end of this month is a pay at close option. Now for that, you got to have equity in your house, right?
We were talking about that, right?
And we can attach a lien, and so that's a great program that I've lost a lot of jobs in the past because I didn't have that option. Where you're in lending, not everybody has good credit, right?
Right,
Or
right.
sometimes they're tied up, or sometimes they just don't have a job, but they have a house that they're sitting on that's paid for. So this is going to be a great option for those people. But my 5% option is literally apply online, and you have instant access to funds, and those funds are not due, at least for the first, payments don't start for 90 days. And then we finance it out like it's a 20-year term, so the payment's really, really small.
Super
Oh my
low.
gosh.
It's
cheap.
a really great program.
That's an awesome program.
If you can get the principal balance paid off in 12 months, which, all my clients do.
Should.
Yes. Then that promotional APR applies. If you go past the 12 months, that's when the bank makes lots of money. So we won't talk about that interest rate. It's really
Well,
high.
that's on them. It's life.
That's right. But I have not ever had a client that has been in that situation, because if you listen to what I'm telling you to do, your house is going to sell.
Most of your houses sell super fast, even the more expensive ones, right? Like you're looking at 60, 90 days at the most.
No, I'm on average 30 or less.
Yeah.
If you listen to what I'm telling you to do. Now, I've had agents, when I first started, I've learned a lot in this business. So I had an agent who told me, hey, Katie, 20,000 difference between selling as is and selling updated. And I was like, okay. And he goes, and I want you to take that money and I want you to spread it out in 5 different places throughout this house, right? He wanted me to remove the carpet in the bathrooms and put in tile floors, but not redo the tile shower. He wanted me to replace the lights, but not touch the countertops in the master bath. He wanted me to paint the cabinets in the kitchen, but not touch the countertops, right? Because we only had 20 grand and it had to go to so many different places. Take off the wallpaper here and here, but not over here. And it just wasn't enough to feel it in any one space. So I sort of walked in and I still went, eh. So remember I talked about that fall in love factor? That's so important. So now I know a lot more, and I would have said, it's not a good deal. I also would have looked at his comps, because if you go to my ARV class, I'm going to teach you how to do the numbers. I think he might have pulled that number just out of nowhere. So I want to look at the data to see what's the price per square foot that's actually selling in my area. And then let's look at like, kind, quality, condition, right? Like where does yours rack and stack? Are you the ugliest house on the block? Or are you the prettiest house on the block? And then we can kind of make some stipulations as to what that price could be. And we quantify that based on the amount of square footage that you have. It's really easy to do in a neighborhood.
It's not just a guide, it's a plan.
Oh, it's a plan. And I love data. So in a past life in corporate America, I did a lot with data. Data works every time. But you got to show them. And I got to be honest with you, a lot of agents, they don't have the guts. They're scared because they're like, well, what if I promise them that I'm going to sell it for this and then I don't? I'm like, well, you do that today, right? You tell them I'm going to sell your house for $350, and then maybe a few months later the market shifts or whatever and it doesn't sell. And then what do? Drop the price.
Well, this is why people do flips. People do remodels because they make money off of it. So you got to
Same thing.
I think if
Flip
you
your own
have
house.
the experience, like you feel a lot more confident about talking about stuff like that.
Yep.
Man, so you're gonna be coming in clutch soon.
All you have to do, Ryan, is you just have to tell them, like, hey, I can sell your house for this much right now, don't even tell them that. I can put this much money in your pocket, right? Let's say you know the mortgage, because you know you're going to get paid more on a bigger house or on a more expensive house, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So I have a little spreadsheet that I like to put together for my agents, and I plug in what's the sale price, what's the estimated commissions, and then whatever their mortgage is, you're going to put this much money in your pocket, right? And then on the other side, I'm going to say, this is what I can sell your house for when I get it pretty. This is what the commissions are going to be. This is what the renovation is, and you're going to net this much. And you know what's usually higher? Renovating. So you just give them those two numbers, right? As is, I can put this much in your pocket. Updated, I can put this much in your pocket. What you want to do? And then they're like, okay. Then you can back into the numbers. Because if you just give them the renovation budget up front, they're like, oh, why would I do that? But it makes sense, but you have to show them why. And you can't give people too much information. You have
Well, then
to
it's
plant
overload.
that.
Right.
Yes.
Then it's
Yeah.
just a pure overload, and
Yes.
you're frustrated.
I think doing it a couple times with them, you'll get the hang of it.
Yes.
I was gonna ask you something, I totally forgot.
No, you're good. But I've
It'll come back.
learned just over the last 3 years the way that you present this to people in a way that's consumable. Because again, too much information is information overload. And then you still have to let them choose, right? You might have that client who says, I'm in no hurry. Doesn't matter. I don't want to go through the hassle of doing it. Okay, then that's a different situation. They may also have young kids, or they may have a special needs child, or they may have, it just may not be a good fit for them, right? And that's okay. But at least this is an option that I guarantee you most agents are not offering. Most agents are just going to tell you what you can sell it for. They run a generic, here's your comps, and here's your number, and we'll see how it goes.
With My Insurance Group with a brief interruption to this podcast. It is currently being shot in the My Insurance Group studios. So My Insurance Group is a local insurance brokerage. We are 5-star rated, and we provide policies for homeowners, auto insurance, and commercial business needs. So if you're looking for a great insurance agent, check out the number in the link below. We will definitely get you an insurance quote, or if one of your friends or family members needs a great insurance agent, keep us in mind and keep the My Insurance Group podcast studio in mind when you're trying to shoot video. Thank you.
But put some science in
And
it.
I've heard of, in the past, I've heard of agents actually putting up their own money to do stuff like this and getting paid at closing or taking a higher commission.
Yep.
That's a little risky, right?
I have an agent I'm doing a house for right now,
but-
and he used to do it.
But yeah, that's an option too for agents. But most of the time, it's whatever the client can afford to do.
Yeah.
And you try to stretch it and try to tell them, like, you know, the numbers and give them the ROI on the different stuff like that. But it really comes down to the money they have at hand. So you make it really easy for them to do all this stuff. And I got to go back to the days of the market because that's so important. You're paying interest on that loan daily, right?
Well,
taxes on that
From the
loan,
lender perspective,
insurance on that loan.
Yeah, from the lender perspective,
I mean, you could do the numbers real quick.
it's impacting whether or not you're able to move into the next property.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's impacting whether or not you'll have money to buy down to a better rate. It's impacting a larger down payment. It's changing. Am I going to be stuck in this neighborhood, or maybe I can look at this neighborhood? Having that buying power option that you're able to give somebody, it is a game changer in the market.
For sure. So I encourage people, you know, it's an option. I try to educate agents. I don't pay for marketing or anything like that. I'm a word of mouth gal. So I try to, you know, the creation of my ARV class, how to calculate ARV, was I was asked these agents, what's the house worth right now? What could the house be worth if we renovate it? And a lot of them would be like, I don't know, 20,000, you know, and they didn't know how to get to that number.
That goes back to experience. Like, if you've done it before, you know.
Right.
For sure.
we were approached recently. I was approached recently about buying a property from a wholesaler, and he gave me these ARV numbers, and it's the statement buyer beware, right?
Sure.
And I looked at it. I looked at the photos. I looked at what it probably needed in reno. I've already done it enough times.
Sure.
I said, I'm just not seeing this number. So, of course, I lean on my expert, and I'm like, Ryan,
Tell me.
where are we at on this? Is it 260 like they're saying? He goes, no, it's 240. And he goes, and you're going to be on market for probably 90 to 120 days.
Yep.
And a lot of
He
those
said it's just a slow
wholesalers
neighborhood.
probably never flipped a house in their life. They're relying on somebody else to give them the numbers. They might have walked it, maybe not. And so, do they really know?
They're always inflated because they want to make their money
Yeah.
too. But that's
Well,
why
they
you
have
need
to
a good
justify their profit. I get that.
totes. Yeah. But no, you need a good agent to
For
do
sure.
the data, to know the research. And so, but like you say, there's a mixed bag out there, right? And sometimes people know and they don't. And I find but that really strong, the agent has to represent those numbers up front with strength, right? Hey, this is what I can put in your pocket if you do as is. And this is what I think I can put in your pocket if you update it. You want to talk about options? Yes or no?
And you've done how many houses?
About 230.
Yeah. It's a ton of experience right there.
Yep. And we do houses that are expensive. We do houses that are cheap. Cheapest house we ever did, she bought for, I think, $150 right down the street from the Alamo Dome. Worth $275 when we were done, so pretty good ROI.
Wow.
I can't remember how much money. She did some foundation work too, but I think we put in about $50.
Yeah, but on a house small, it's pier and beam probably, right?
It was pier and beam, yeah.
Yeah, so you're not going to get hit too hard.
No, but weird house, we closed off a wall and made, because it was like you had to walk through a bedroom to get to a bedroom, that floor plan.
Do you have any examples off the top you could talk about? Just the ROI?
Sure. So we did a house in Canyon Springs, and the agent told me confidently, really good high-end luxury agent, hey, Katie, I can sell this house for $950 as is. Cool. What can you do if we update it? 1.2. Really pretty, had a beautiful pool, a little outdoor built-in kitchen on the greenbelt, so nice and private. It was a really nice neighborhood, but it was dark and dated and it looked like it did when it was built in the 90s. And so the client didn't want to do all the things the agent recommended. He recommended a full kitchen, a full master bath reno, and then paint everything. And they said, how about we just paint the walls and the ceilings? We're going to leave the trim, because the trim was like a super creamy color. And at that time, white trim was really in. But anyway, we made it work, painted the walls white, and we just did the kitchen. And that house did indeed contract for 1.2, second person that saw it, and it only cost $50,000 to get the house updated.
Kitchen matters.
Kitchen
it just matters.
But only $50,000 to get
kitchen and house painted.
Probably
so,
about 70. You put down 50, right? It was going to sell for $950.
yeah, so they
Put down
invested
50.
they invested
So
50.
they were in at $1 million,
And they got 1.2.
1.2. So you
they
got
made-
200.
Now the
That's
agent made a little
crazy.
money. We'll shave off a little bit more because the agent made a
Yeah,
little bit more
of course.
commission. But they also sold their house to the second person that saw it. It never even went on. It was on private MLS.
That's
Talk
even
about a
better.
return.
Yep. So these things do matter. And a lot of times, I give the example and people think, well, I can only do it in a fancy house. No. You can do it in less expensive houses. It just depends on the neighborhood, right? You got to look at your comps. You got to look at your price per square foot and what people are buying. And that's how you can get your numbers.
Definitely.
But if you have a range of, let's say, 100 a square foot up to 250 a square foot, and you have 1,000 square foot house, that's $150,000 difference.
It's a big difference.
If you're the worst condition and you're the best condition, that's a lot of room.
Right.
So it can happen with cheap houses and it can happen with expensive.
Depends
It
on the
just-
neighborhood for sure.
For sure.
For sure. Like the more custom neighborhoods, I bet you do really good in those ones.
Yeah, I mean, it just every neighborhood really is different. Sometimes too, age of home, right? You can't look at a house that's built in 2010 and a house that's built in 1984 and expect
It'll
the
never
same.
look like a modern house. Right.
No.
Yeah.
And they're going to perform differently. So you have to just make sure when you do your analysis that you're looking at houses that are similar to yours. Now, sometimes there's limited inventory too. We experience that a lot right now. And sometimes you just got to put on your hey, I know what I'm doing and this is my best guess, because there's a difference in what you can get updated versus not.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to use your gut judgment. Sandra Ringel, who I've been chasing for forever, we haven't done a job together. She's a friend of mine. But when I first started telling her what I do, she's like, because Sandra's the queen of I'll sell
It's
it.
funny. I worked with Sandra in my first year doing loans years ago. She's a great woman.
She's a fantastic human, and she's really good at selling anything, any condition. She can do it.
Yeah.
But she didn't really believe me when I was like, hey, I think I can, help you to sell these houses quick. She's like, oh, I can sell these houses. I'm good. I'm like, okay. Well, anyway, then somebody gives her a house to sell, and it's completely renovated, every square inch of it. She had no comps like it, nothing. And she goes, I want to price it really, really high. And she priced it way high. Everybody told her she was crazy. Sandra, you'll never sell the house for that. There's no comps to support it, whatever. She got an offer first day.
Did it make value?
Sure did.
That's all that matters to the lender.
And
Dang,
and
that's dope.
But she called me afterwards and she goes, I believe you, So the condition matters, and sometimes even though you may not have the data to support it, like, be confident in knowing that, like, this works.
Yeah.
Talk to your team lead, talk to your broker, what have you.
Can you talk about that one experience where there was a house that was going to lose money, and then y'all put some money into it and actually made?
Yeah. So.
So you saved a family.
Well, we haven't yet, so we're supposed to get this job. We'll see what happens. She's got a lot going on, but she took a reverse mortgage on the house. I think actually the husband did. Maybe she didn't know about it. So if she sells it as is, she's going to lose $23,000. She sells it updated based on what the agent told me, she can make 20. So this is a situation where you're going to have to come to the closing table with a check, or consider taking a short sale with the bank, which is another conversation. Or she can actually make money on the deal, sell it fast, move on with her life, and put 20 grand in her pocket. So sometimes if you're in that situation, it's not a matter of how much you get, it's a matter of do you get. Right.
We were just talking about that, I think a week or two ago. Woman calls me about a reverse mortgage. And of course the daughter was, no, that's my home when mom passes.
Yeah.
And I was a little angry. I said, well, are you going to pay mom's heating bill, AC bill, electricity bill? You going to fix mom's foundation?
Mom needs money.
You going to leave mom in a home that's got broken windows? Or do you want her to be able to live safely for the next rest of her life? You can still inherit the home.
Yep.
But now mom gets to live safe.
Sometimes those are scenarios where
It's hard for
I
some
know.
families.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of influence from children.
Oh, for sure. They want the paycheck when it's all done. Yeah, I know.
It's awkward.
Estates can be challenging. We've done them.
Really? Okay.
Divorces can be challenging. We've done them. Got to get everybody to agree. That's the hard part. You ever have that situation?
Oh yeah.
No, Right?
Yeah, estates, you just have to get an executor you have to get a decision maker, right? If it's like a team committee thing, like, it's not happening because we all got to agree to do the things.
Those could be great if they listen to you.
We've done them. So we did one in the Dominion, and 3 daughters, and but they were all on the same page. Everybody agreed. This was mom and dad's house that they raised the kids in, and now the kids are adults. Dad had passed and mom had moved to assisted living, and the house looked like it did when they bought it. Lots of different colors happening. Kitchen was outdated. Master bath was outdated.
It was life.
It was life.
Right.
And so we finished the hardwood floors. They still had carpet in the living room, but we replaced it, staged it, made the kitchen just knockout showpiece, all new appliances, all new counters, all new tile, the works. The kitchen looked amazing. We left the master bath with carpet in it, mirrors galore, gold fixtures, 24 by 24 hunter green tile. You with me? You see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the house actually contracted in a week, and it did sell for what the agent predicted because we did the right things in the kitchen. We changed the light fixtures. It already had neutral paint, so I didn't have to do that. And we replaced the carpet that had some, old wear.
The daughters had to I've got to believe they felt amazed that not only could they see what the home became, but now they can move on with their life because it's over.
And they felt like, we honored mom and dad's house.
Right.
So, yeah. But you have to get, estates can be a challenge, as you know, because we have to get agreement from everybody on the step forward. So, but we can do those. And then also divorces we've done before. So assuming they haven't, with our credit-based lending program, sometimes they like to destroy each other's credit. That never happens, right?
No, never.
But if we've at least had an amicable divorce and both can be on the same page, we've done those before because it's in their best interest both to pocket a little bit more cash.
Well, that and it allows both parties to walk away with some bit of a win when it's probably a hard time for them.
For sure. So, but no, we like to say we offer solutions, regardless of the audience. But again, it's about time and it's about more money in your pocket.
Where do you see this going for you over the rest of the year? Because I would have said a week ago rates were great. They moved, and they didn't move in the best direction.
Yep.
It's been a bit of a challenge. I'm seeing different families maybe put things on hold, and and I'm seeing some other families going, no, let's just get it done now.
Yep.
And they're the ones that are moving forward now are really happy because sellers are just giving away the farm.
They don't have to. But yes, a lot of them are.
That one deal that I'm talking about, they got $15,000 towards closing costs and title.
Yep.
All in, that's like $18,000 they got.
Yep. And we're still doing those things, right? Like seller concessions are a much bigger deal now. During COVID, wasn't nobody doing
Right.
seller concessions, right? But you can still achieve the price that you're looking for when you do the right things. It's just maybe we shift where those dollars come from to make it more appealing for somebody to buy. Plus, you got to compete with all these new home builders, right? And all the incentives they're throwing at them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
But that's a different, but location. A lot of these new home builds are out in the boonies.
Well, I heard that Comal County just suspended any water rights to any of the new home constructions that are going up.
What?
Oh, yeah, it was a huge article. So apparently, Comal County has a subdivision that's going up,
Okay.
developers building homes, and because of the massive shortage of water in Canyon Lake, the city council said, you're no longer getting access to our water.
Oh my gosh. There's a lawsuit or something's about to happen.
Well,
That's
you know
crazy.
what? I mean, what's the alternative? Everybody that already lives there that has been paying taxes, what about the elderly families? Why should they suffer by paying more?
We need it to rain. That's what we need.
That's an understatement.
I
but-
know. We need like 100-year rains is what we need. Gosh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it was a big article.
I'm glad I'm not
over
a
the weekend.
developer or in new home build construction, which is about to get real expensive. So anyway,
Definitely.
renovating is cheaper.
Well, I think we've.
I think we touched on a couple things that
we
make
covered
me
it, right?
curious and excited.
Oh yeah.
Well, I would just love to make sure that agents know that we're here to help. And so if you have a troubled house, I'm going to look at you. If you have a troubled house, give me a call. Let me know the specifics and nuances of your property. Let's talk through it and let's get a plan so that we can present a simple solution to your clients and see if they're interested.
Well, that's another thing, right? You help a lot of homes that have been on the market for months,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Maybe a year or two.
Yeah. Half the time they call me before they list, and the other half is the oh crap, Katie, I put it on the market and it's not going so good. Maybe we need to pull it off. And I'm actually, half my business is that.
Would you be open to maybe doing some sort of mixer or event where people can talk to you more face to face and kind of hear more about what you've done and get to know you? Because like we said earlier, this is a relationship business.
Yep.
People have to know you, shake hands with you, break bread with you,
For sure.
and they will trust you.
I do lots of networking events. So yes, I do a lot of networking. But what I find, and the people that hire me are not the new agents, and they're not a lot of times the ones that go to the mixers and have the free cocktails. It's usually the workers are usually the ones that hire me. And so I found a lot of success in cold calling. I'm actually doing a job right now for Matt Pierce. You know Matt? Pierce Anders, New Braunfels. He's a big deal, high-end luxury. But I target people based on volume and production, and I literally pick up the phone and call them.
Which makes sense.
And then I tell them too, these are the people that I've worked with. I'd love a connection. I'd love a time with you. I'd love to spend time with you. But I do a lot of networking. Education has really kind of been my focus lately.
Well, that seems like it really needs to be, because if we don't know
Yes.
that these resources are out there,
Yes.
what do? We just sell it as is, and we kind of battle through that pain.
Let's do a class.
I'd love to.
Yeah, education I feel like is so key, and the key to that too. And I try to tell people like, this is a system that works, and I'd love to show you my proven results. But I had an agent. I had taught a class yesterday at Heritage, and there was an agent that knew me, socially, right? Because I'm all the way over the place. But he sat in on my class. He's been an agent for 20 years. He's trained a ton of the KW agents. And he goes, I didn't really know what you did, and I get it now, and this is so great. He goes, I've been an agent for 20 years, and you taught me a lot.
Wow.
But it's not a whole lot that I can convey at a mixer, at a
No.
Yeah.
It's got to be some sort of educational
Yes.
type footprint or plan.
Yep.
Because I think if people are sitting there and actually making an effort to learn,
Yep.
what they're going to walk away with is an opportunity not only to help more families, but help them get out of a home quickly, but more so make a little bit of extra money too, because now
Absolutely.
the home sells quicker
Yep.
and for more money. Wow, everybody wins.
And the agent doesn't have to dedicate the same number of hours and phone calls every month. Why haven't you sold my house? Why haven't you sold my house? It's a simple thing for you to move on to the next.
Brian, you look forward to those calls, right?
Yeah. From what I gather, I haven't done business with you yet, but I will. You make it so easy for the agent
We try.
as well.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win for everybody, honestly.
And it's up to you too, Ryan. Like, you want to be the guy that, like, hey, I've already talked to him about you, Katie. Like, here's the number. Like, peace be with you, you know. And then I go do me, and then I keep you updated. Hey, we're going to be done on this day, you know, cleaning, photos, that kind of thing. Or if you want to be along for the ride, we add you to the text message thread, and you can see all the things. You can swing by and do videos. Everybody kind of does it different. I have some agents that are hands off, and others that are like, well, I'm just like, what's happening? You know, when's the carpet going
But in a market
It's okay.
where video content
Yeah.
matters,
Yes.
why wouldn't you be the agent that's showing your family what's coming along?
Oh, well, we do it too. So that's part of what when you
Oh,
hire
that's
me.
part of the package?
Absolutely.
Oh,
we
gosh.
project manage the whole thing for you. We give you photo updates. We give you timelines. I have a full-time construction manager who literally her job is just to drive around, check on things, make sure packages get delivered, you know, and she's constantly providing updates and photos. So at least 2 to 3 times a week, we're giving you all those updates. So you don't have to. I've had clients that are out of city, out of state, out of country. I've done a couple out of country.
That's cool.
But like people who've never even met me before, but because I told the agent like, hey, if this happens, just give me a shout and we'll take care of them, and it works. But you don't have to manage it. So there
Results
is
matter.
results matter. Who you work with matters, and are you trusted? Are you somebody who's going to get it done? Are you going to get it done reliably? Now, because of that, I'm not always the cheapest. I'm not cheap. I'm not expensive. I'm a good value because we do it all. We do it fast.
We just ran into a situation where a family needed the cheapest deal, and I was really reluctant because I have 165 lenders that I can choose, and I warned them. I said cheap is not going to be good.
Yeah.
And it was painful and clumsy, and it got really ugly at the end. I'll own it because,
It's like the next insurance of insurance, right?
but it's
Oop, did I say that out loud? Don't watch
the
next.
people that you use matter.
Yeah.
You cannot be the cheapest. You've got to be able to provide confident value. And it sounds like you're already doing that consistently. And that's
And the buck stops with me, so this is my baby. And so
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So what is your zone of operations?
San Antonio and greater, you know, surrounding area. I'm not going to go to San Marcos probably, but like New Braunfels, Canyon Lake, Helotes, South San Antonio,
Okay.
you know, like, you know, a decent range. Just call it the greater San Antonio area,
Okay.
right? But my guys are all based in San Antonio, so they can't go to Austin.
Well, it gives you influence. It makes
Yes.
it makes sure that you're aware of where your bubble's at.
And
That's
actually,
cool.
I have a great partner in Austin that we cross refer a lot, and he does a really good job. And so, same thing when he has somebody come to San Antonio, we take care of them.
Cool.
Yeah. But we try to be a solution provider if we can, and it's not for everybody, and I'm okay with that. You know, I'm a unique niche, and some agents aren't interested in this model, and that's okay. Some clients aren't interested in that model, and that's okay too. You know, so I kind of explain what we do, and if somebody's interested, and we kind of give them some preliminary numbers, right? Because sometimes people think miracles can happen for $5,000. They cannot. Then I kind of do a reality check with them, and I'm like, it's probably going to be about this. You know, if they're going to go the loan route, we got to get them pre-qualified first. Just like before you show somebody 10 houses on a Saturday, you're like, hey, let's talk to my buddy and get you like, you know, pre-approved, right? We kind of do the same thing. So there is some initial, because when I first started, people say, hey, Katie, I got a job for you. And I'd be like, I was in the car, man. I was in the car on the way.
Let's get that math ready.
I don't have enough time to do it right now. So I make sure they're serious, right? We kind of screen them out a little bit first, but if they are, then we get them taken care of. So
Cool.
I'm excited to see where you take this the rest of this year.
Oh, me too.
oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Me too. It's good so far. I tell you what, I was questioning my life choices in fourth quarter of last year. Weren't we all? But the market's doing great right now, and this is my busy season, right? We have a curve to what I do because I get houses ready before you list them. So, you know, I'm kind of like this, like right before, you know, busy summer season.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
But I count my blessings for that, so I'm grateful for it.
Well, Katie, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Nice
I
to
enjoyed
meet you.
I enjoy listening to what you're doing
Thank
because
you.
it sounds like it's really solution based.
Tries to be.
Anybody interested in Katie's info, I'm going to have it listed on this video, but also agents reach out.
Awesome. Yeah, I would love to work with you guys. Thanks, San Antonio.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks.